I'd also like to acknowledge any international and interstate visitors here to the City of Melbourne. My people have lived and survived around these shores for many thousands of years. My people have survived an ice age, survived a smallpox epidemic, and survived invasion. So they tried to wipe out the Aboriginal people in many ways, and my great-great-grandmother was shot in the head, point blank range, by a pastoralist on horseback. So I have a lot of bit of memories about that. So, but we're still here today, and still alive, and still representing country. So it's we have a lot more challenges here in the city. To a lot of folk, you know, I guess we don't have to come up against mining companies and such, but we still have a lot of challenges in the city trying to protect country and what sacred sites we still do have left here in the city. This can only be achieved through dialogue with government agencies, and you know, a lot of dialogue within our own community as well. There's been fractures in the past where we've been unable to function as an organisation and address a lot of the issues that we need to address within our own community. We have come to a stage, you know, we've celebrated our 25th anniversary as an organisation, the Wurundjeri Tribe Land Council here in Melbourne, and we derive a majority of our income from our workers in the field. These workers assist archaeologists in the field, and they investigate and record sites around Melbourne that are still being found during the development process. So we're quite pleased that we get that opportunity to go out and explore our country. As you can imagine, Melbourne is exploding with another population spurt, and we're working closely with the GAA, which is the Growth Areas Authority, in their efforts to, you know, accommodate this ever-increasing population. So we come to a lot of compromises as far as a lot of our sites are concerned. We don't like to stand in the way of progress, but we like to be acknowledged. And we're fiercely determined to protect a lot of our sites, and we're fiercely proud of who we are. And, you know, this country was discovered over 200 years ago on the basis of terra nullius, which in Latin means no man's land. But we all know that this land was occupied much more than 200 years ago, much longer than 200 years ago. We all know and understand. You know, they say that Captain Cook discovered Australia. Well, you know, the basis for discovery is, I'm just reading a little book here, but I'll just read one short thing. And the fundamental problem with discovery as the base for possession is that one can only discover that which is ownerless, that which doesn't belong to anyone. So I'll leave that with you. And I hope you enjoy your inaugural gathering today. And Melbourne's turned on a nice day, but I wouldn't trust it. And let me just say Wominjeka, which is interpreted as welcome in our language. So on behalf of all my people, let me say welcome to Wurundjeri country, and I hope you enjoy your stay. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that thought-provoking welcome to country. It's always, I think it is important to remember that there was an original civilization within our civilization here in Australia. I probably should have mentioned my name. I'm Hugh Jorgensen. I'm your illustrious MC for this morning's session. But more importantly, we can move on now to Peter Georgievski, who is the co-founder and current CEO of the Global Dialogue Foundation. Peter has worked extensively in the shipping industry, stationed in many countries, and now is a humankind enthusiast devoted to humanitarian progress. So we're looking forward very much to hearing Peter's statement today, and he'll also introduce some of our other members on the panel. Thank you, Peter.
Good morning. I'd like to start by acknowledging the traditional Wurundjeri people, the landowners on which we stand today. I pay my respects to elders, past and present. Thank you, Ron Terrick, for your welcome. I'd like to make some acknowledgements from Global Dialogue Foundation, Dr. Vasco Nadovsky, the founder, the Honourable Chair, Mr. KK Bose, the Administrative Board, Maya Shahani, Mike Hancock, Andrew Cass, Michael and Ilya Nadovsky. From the UN Alliance of Civilizations, His Excellency Jorge Sampaio, High Representative, Mr. Jean-Christophe Bass, Senior Representative, the Honourable Telmo Languilla, MP, the Right Honourable the Lord Mayor of Melbourne, Robert Doyle, Mr. Sam Afra, Chairman, Ethnic Communities Council of Victoria, Wessa Chow, our international speakers, Mr. Sam Sefuva, Dr. Siafi Anwar, Sam from New Zealand Human Rights Commission, Dr. Siafi Anwar from the International Centre for Islam and Pluralism, Indonesia, Mr. Vinod Merchandani, Country Manager, India, Melbourne University. To our partners and supporters, City of Melbourne, Swinburne University, Australian Multicultural Foundation, Victorian Multicultural Commission, RMIT University, UNESCO Observatory at University of Melbourne, the Municipal Association of Victoria, Foster, the Foundation for Social Responsibility New Zealand, Federation of Indian Associations of Victoria, for organising yesterday's wonderful cultural performances, Cultural Infusion, and the Macedonian Community Council of Victoria. I'd like to acknowledge our staff and our volunteers, Melanie Young, Ben Bickford, Natasha Vassilieva, Leanne Lee, Emeretta Cross, Hugh Jorgensen, Mark Mays. I'm very privileged to be here today with you. This is the beginning of Global Dialogue Foundation's entry into this space, and we're very much looking forward to our cooperation. So at this point, I'd like to invite our Honourable Chairman, KK Bose, who's here from Dubai, to chair this meeting and address the forum. Thank you.
A very good morning to all of you, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I wish to acknowledge the traditional landowners, the Wurundjeri people on which we stand today. I pay my respects to elders, past and present. Wurundjeri Council Elder, His Excellency Yoge Sampaio, High Representative of the United Nations Alliance of Civilizations, the Honorable Telmo Languila, MP, the Honorable John Pandasopoulos, MP, the Right Honorable the Lord Mayor of Melbourne, Robert Doyle, Mr. Sam Afra, Chairman, Ethnic Communities, Council of Victoria, Dr. Vasco M. Najowski, the founder of GDF, Mr. John Christopher Bass, Senior Representative of the UN Alliance of Civilizations, Mr. Peter Georgievsky, Director General and CEO of GDF, GDF board members, representatives from the United Nations, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. In my capacity as the Honorable Chairperson of the Global Dialogue Foundation, let me place on record my deepest appreciation and admiration to the vision of its founder, Dr. Vasco Nadowski, for bringing humanity together through dialogue. Let me also place on record my deepest appreciation and admiration to the relentless work of our Director General and CEO, Mr. Peter Georgievsky, for his continued endeavor to bring GDF to this level of global recognition and acceptance. At a time when global tension seems overwhelming, we at GDF promote dialogue as a means to understand each other and settle any dispute. I consider it a great honor to address this forum held in Melbourne under the auspices of the United Nations Alliance of Civilizations. GDF is a unique, peculiar, and noble organization. It was established as a charitable structure in 2009 and is the result of our 20 years of work. Its basic aim is to help people of various cultural backgrounds and of the same communities, large or small, to learn about one another on a local, regional, and at a later time on a global level, to become friends and good neighbors and collaborate towards building an improved and safer future for all, to share knowledge learned from the experience of their own and other cultures, to successfully integrate into mainstream society in the new world for them. GDF's commitment is to improve levels of sustainability, progress, and integration in new environments by focusing on protecting and maintaining the identity and heritage of each culture, faith, and civilization, creating prosperity in the community of the new homeland in which people live for each other of their future generations, develop care and provision for the needs of members of each culture, men, women, children, elderly, and youth, build capacity for self-sustaining progress and a coexistence amongst cultures, civilizations, religions, faiths, governments, and the people in general of various backgrounds at a local, regional, and global level. Different cultural histories, faiths, and civilization characteristics mean a new world for many people who move to and from meridians and countries all over the world, regardless of whether it is due to tourism or enjoyment, or work and business, or to study or further study. People and cultures, faiths, civilizations will be increasingly intermixed. Therefore, it is our goal to support people and cultures in their communities to create NGO structures for their needs and a better life for themselves, and in their new world to help the citizens, the descendants of the various cultures, integrate and find their way quicker in the new environment to enter mainstream society and prosper. Without interfering in any state or religious faith matters, this process will create order in the civil sector, self-instilling unrest, isolation, paranoia, and fear will begin to diminish, and capacity in the citizen sector will develop. Protecting the cultural identity and heritage of all people and working to meet their needs for a human, cultural, faith, and civilization aspect, the members of their communities will create a web of collaboration on all levels to promote the development of unity in diversity and humankind towards brother and sisterhood. For a process such as this to work continuously, it is necessary to understand it. Also to recruit noble people with great potential of understanding, with experience, contacts, and influence, respect from the other and for oneself, and an overall appreciation of the other's needs and their identity, with one's own respect and noble characteristics for self and for others on the planet, and with vast experience, influence, and contacts, including faith for a brighter future for all developed and more, a person can feel it and may not have the words to describe the outcome of such a spiritual, intellectual, and material energetic freedom for humankind. In a creative sense, to contribute greatly in building an improved, more secure, and more humane world and a positive development for all on the planet, to bring beauty of freedom and creativity of mind, body and soul, will provide progress and development and a more secure life for all, an entry into a more humane society as universal brother and sisterhood. As a result of considerable effort and commitment, GDF has succeeded in forming a nucleus with talented and noble people who, on their own merits, with the dialogue, will move us closer towards a brighter tomorrow for all on the planet. We, by coming together as in this dialogue and increasing the levels of understanding and cooperation among people and cultures on the community level, and working in the frame of the United Nations Alliance of Civilizations, along with expanding this process, the world will arrive to where we are aimed, in a more human global society, much faster and much safer for the common good. It is therefore our greatest pleasure to welcome you to this inaugural Unity and Diversity Forum. We invite each person to work collaboratively in this direction. As His Excellency Ban Ki-moon, the Secretary General of the United Nations, has rightly said in a message marking October 2, the birthday of Mahatma Gandhiji, as the International Day of Non-Violence, that the work of creating and sustaining a culture of peace and non-violence begins in the hearts of committed men and women. Communities, families, and individuals all have a critical role to play in defeating violence and creating a culture of peace. This work cannot be left to government or international organizations alone. This is where the role of GDF comes in. This is where the vision of GDF lies. GDF is geared and well equipped in all respects to complement the UN to establish a peaceful world society. And this can be achieved only through dialogue. Dialogue among citizens of different cultures and faiths, dialogue among leaders, politicians, and states. May you have an outstanding forum. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, KK. So now we move to a special period of the opening ceremony, I suppose. This is a message from His Excellency George Sampaio, who is the High Representative from the United Nations Alliance of Civilizations. For those of you unfamiliar with Mr. Sampaio's record, he was an integral player in Portugal's independence movement from its dictatorship regime formerly. He was the first president after that period. He's very well versed.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Therefore,
much to my regret, I was unable to join you in Melbourne.
he's very well versed, therefore, in creating change, and I think it's great that he could be in charge of the UNOC, and it's great that he could send us this message today. So this is from His Excellency Mr. Sampaio.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, much to my regret, I was unable to join you in Melbourne to attend this important forum. I was greatly touched by your invitation, and really very keen on sharing with you a few thoughts on the importance of protecting cultural diversity as part of sustainable development and fostering intercultural dialogue and cooperation among peoples and nations. Dear participants, as you might know, the Alliance of Civilizations' United Nations initiative aims to improve understanding and cooperative relations among nations and peoples across cultures and religions, and in the process, to help counter the forces that fuel polarization and extremism. As an action-driven initiative, it aims at implementing and/or supporting innovative projects in its four main fields of action: I mean education, youth, media, and migration. Through its multiple network of partners, the Alliance acts as a driving force, a global matchmaker, and a platform that achieves results in partnerships mainly with governments, international and regional organizations, cities and local governments and authorities, civil society, religious institutions, foundations, corporations, and the media. Building further upon the achievements of the pre-existing work, the Alliance has been calling for additional initiatives at national and regional levels, namely by promoting national plans and regional strategies for intercultural dialogue and cooperation, involving a wide range of stakeholders. These national plans and regional strategies are mainly frameworks for action and projects to commit and engage civil society at large. Regional strategies are intended to generate a process of joint ownership among members, partners, and stakeholders of the Alliance regarding its goals and create a culture of peace by shaping an enhanced framework for policy development, providing new opportunities and impetus to projects on the ground, linking innovative initiatives within and across regions, promoting people-to-people contacts and intercultural dialogue among countries and peoples. In this regard, let me remind you that the first Alliance's regional initiative ever developed took place precisely in this part of the world in May 2007 under the leadership of Madame Helen Clark, who at that time was the Prime Minister of New Zealand. To a certain extent, I see this forum, your forum, as a timely development of the Auckland Symposium, and I would like to congratulate you vividly on this new event. I look forward to learning on your conclusions and new initiatives brought forward under the auspices of this forum. Count on my support and on the determination to advance the Alliance's goals in this part of the world. I wish you really all the best. Many thanks for your attention.
Thank you again to His Excellency. We also, just a reminder, we do have a representative here from the UNSC, Mr. Jean-Christophe Bass, who is today's keynote speaker, who I'm sure will be commenting on that speech, among others. I guess for those of you born in New Zealand, that was certainly interesting to see Madame Helen Clark raised. I wasn't familiar with her title in that form. And also, it's actually worth checking out the national plans he mentioned. You can check those on the website. They're very interesting reading as well. So I'd like to introduce our next speaker now, who is the Honourable Tamo Languila, MP. Please invite him to the stage.
Good morning and thank you. Can I acknowledge KK Boss, the chairperson of Global Dialogue Foundation, to Jean-Christophe Bass, who of course is a Senior Advisor, Strategic Development and Partnerships, United Nations Alliance of Civilizations, to Peter Gorczewski, CEO, Global Dialogue Foundation, my parliamentary colleague, John Pandazopoulos, to Sam Afra, Chairperson of Victorian Ethnic Communities Council, to Dr. Rahita Batas, Vice Chair, Ethnic Community Council, New South Wales, to Sam Sewifa, Human Rights Commission, New Zealand, to Dr. Anwar, Executive Director of International Centre for Islam and Pluralism, Indonesia. If I might, John Richardson, the former Director of Immigration in the state, and to many other distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I too would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners and custodians of the land on which we are gathered, and pay my respects to their elders past and present, especially to the Wurundjeri people, the oldest continuous culture in the world. It is my great pleasure to be here today on behalf of Minister James Merlino. The Minister sends his warmest regards to you all, and he sends his best wishes for a constructive and enlightening dialogue throughout this forum. This gathering is a poignant example of the value that we need to place on our cultural and religious diversity. The Global Dialogue Foundation appreciates that cultural diversity and solidarity are not mutually exclusive. that our multiculturalism strengthens our resolve to act collectively as a society when we are faced with challenges that affect us all. To face the serious challenges in our world today, we certainly need knowledge, science and technology. But I believe we also need the wisdom, the insights and the compassion that our various faiths can bring. And so it is heartening to know that this intercultural and interfaith dialogue will, over the next few days, tackle some pressing humanitarian issues. And I too wish you most a constructive forum. You know that the Victorian government is indeed committed to promoting and encouraging multiculturalism and community harmony in our state. And perhaps I might tell you just briefly a little story. I was asked before where did my accent come from, or where did I come from? And I assumed that related to my previous life. And I did say, of course, for those who might not know, I was born in Uruguay. And, Uruguay was the country which came fourth in the World Cup, in case you did not register that. And perhaps more importantly, Uruguay became known in Australia, particularly so when we facilitated Australia's entry into the World Cup in the previous World Cup celebrations. So there you are. I wish you a very constructive forum. The support and cooperation of the many ethnic, cultural and religious organisations that are active in our state, we can all continue to celebrate and enjoy our community's diversity and harmony. Together, we can ensure that future generations will enjoy the diversity and inclusive society that Victoria is renowned for. So the Victorian government believes that by encouraging Victorians from every background to be proud of who they are, where they come from, and what they believe, we are helping all people to feel included and proud of our society. So in conclusion, on behalf of the Victorian government and the Minister, I welcome you to Melbourne and to Victoria. I know that you have some very interesting topics for discussion today, and I look forward to hearing of your deliberations. And I hope your time and this forum will make for a more productive and memorable experience. I thank you and wish you good luck with this forum. Thank you.
Thank you very much again, Mr. Languilla. I think we all, on behalf of all Australians, thank your home country for your facilitation of John O'Ellis's penalty kick. So the next speaker we have today is Sam Afra, who is the chairperson from the Ethnic Communities Council of Victoria. Please welcome him to the stage.
Good morning all. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land where we stand and pay tribute to their elders past and present. To all our distinguished guests, international and local, thanks for the invitation. Thanks, Peter. You've done wonderful work to get this forum together. Not long time ago, just 2 weeks exactly, ECCV had a conference just in this room here, discussed many issues about settlement and discrimination, interpreting services. It's all about how our perception and how we want to see Victoria as where's the next stage in Victoria or in Australia. I was pleased to have the acknowledgement of everyone probably that's Victoria leading the way in multicultural affairs and still the beacon for the rest of Australia, which is very good. But this all work doesn't happen by itself. Opening the debate and creating this kind of conversation, that's where we thrive for solutions and answers. Victoria leading the way because of some people led the way before. I take this opportunity to acknowledge the Honourable John Pendazopoulos. In his capacity when he was a minister assisting the Premier of Multicultural Affairs, introduced to Victoria Racial and Religious Tolerance Act. It's not easy to feel discriminated at without a legislation to protect you. Also in Victoria we have the Multicultural Act, which at least acknowledge that we are from different backgrounds. And we are here as we chose to have our new nation as Australia. But still, I would like to see the reflection on the makeup of our population, probably in the political system, and see our parliaments more reflecting with the numbers according to our percentage of different background coming to Australia and chose Australia as a home. It's good to see a representative here from former Director of Department of Immigration, John Williams, Compagonis, representing Municipal Association, Australian Federal Police, Jenny Semple from Southeastern Region Migrant Resource Centre, Australian Taxation. I mean, we all looking for answers, and unless we debate and we have a conversation every day, it will not reflect on our view, and that will not leading us to any way. So good on you for the forum, and I wish you all the best, and thank you again.
One of them a distinguished guest. But first I'd like to say that it is actually quite very timely that we have this discussion and dialogue in this globalised world. Of course, we know that businesses are expanding overseas to capture a larger share of their profits. People are moving overseas to decrease their manufacturing costs. We have an increase in migration, asylum seekers around the world, and hence a greater diversity within communities, and understanding of diversity is needed. And also, of course, the workforce within our communities are also increasingly diverse. And of course, we've got an increase in international students around the world, and that also have a direct impact on the migration patterns, and they act as links and ambassadors for the world in the future. The increased mobility, therefore, means that diversity definitely needs to be discussed. It is not just Australia, of course, that this problem exists. It's a globalised phenomenon. I was recently reading the newspaper in Hong Kong. I come from Hong Kong myself. And the Hong Kong police force were having a lot of problems actually working with young African people on the streets. And of course that is due to cultural misunderstanding and cultural misunderstanding. And of course this is not just Hong Kong, and we also hear it here in Melbourne as well. So we cannot shy away from this problem anymore. All the decision makers around the world need to be aware of the changes and make the right decisions to ensure cultural diversity is discussed. And of course, if Australia can fix our nation and ensure the discussion of multiculturalism and discuss of that cultural diversity, then we're equipped to actually work on the international stage and work with foreign affairs. I'm a strong believer that if we get our own house in order, we can then expand. And to do this, we need leaders in the field and to address community harmony. With the access to technology also, and in the globalised community, that any media relating to ethnicity and diversity is the first to be reported in the ethnic media and the first to report overseas. Not whether Australia is debating whether we need a big Australia or a sustainable Australia. They're more interested in whether or not Australia is welcoming to international students and asylum seekers. And therefore, when we talk about diversity, that really needs to be looked at, and to be aware that on the international stage that people actually do take notice. And also in talking diversity, we mainly talk about the culture and religious diversity, but I also want to mention that we shouldn't forget that there are also different diversity among our communities, such as people with disability, women, young people. These are people who are even more disadvantaged. And the promotion of understanding will create a community harmony within Australia and globally. And of course, some of these issues are stigmatised within the community, and especially with people with disability and mental illness, and they're stigmatised within their own ethnic communities. And so the understanding is also very important. But I would like to, lastly, to congratulate again the GDF for organising this and the efforts to promote dialogue around cultural diversity and religious diversity, and try to increase the understanding among people, and all the best for today.